I even helped bathe her before work. What? Hello, my coven, sick and tired here, and today I have another viewer email for us to read. Now, this email is a little bit different because not the email itself. I read your guys' emails when they come in, I read them from beginning to end. Now, with this email, I started reading it. In the first paragraph, I knew that I needed to share this. So I haven't read this whole thing, which is very unusual for these videos. So I will be hearing this for the first time with you guys. If you are new here, that is what we do on this channel. We talk about bad parenting and we read real life submissions from real people who had really bad experiences in their childhood and even as adults. If that is something that you feel like you can relate to, I would please ask that you subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. That way you never miss our weekly therapy sessions. You can also join my Patreon if you would like to have these same videos uncensored. Obviously, we talk about things that are very serious and sometimes YouTube makes me cut those things out. So if you want the videos unedited, I like to say, because of course they're not completely unedited, but with a lot of the stuff left in that you don't really get to see here on YouTube, you can check out my Patreon. Hi there, Samantha. My name is Erika. I've only been watching your videos for a few months now, but I really like your content and what you are trying to do by creating and sharing it with your online fan base. I don't remember a lot about my childhood because most of it I blocked out. All I know is that when I was born, I was planned, but not for any good intentions. I was meant to be a baby trap for a deadbeat dad that already had like 5 other kids that he wasn't paying child support for. Despite what my mother thought, my birth did not keep him around and suddenly it became a burden. She didn't know how to care for me properly, most likely didn't want to, found changing diapers gross once I got a horrible infection, and she never cleaned my bottles before giving them to me. I got thrush a lot. Okay, now this next part I didn't really understand. I'm gonna see if I could try to figure it out with you guys. I feel like I was getting confused on if she was talking about her mom or the other person that's living with them. The only reason I survived through all of that, I think, was because of the woman she lived with as a stay-at-home nanny. Wild that she could take care of other kids when she was getting paid to do it, but not her own. By the time I was born, though, this woman's kids were all adults basically, but she stuck around as a sort of live-in house cleaner and would run errands for the woman. Okay, so that's where I'm a little bit confused. I'm not sure. I'm thinking that her mom is a stay-at-home nanny and that this other woman was there and her mom was working for her and she helped take care of her, or the other woman is the nanny. Yeah, I'm not really understanding it. If you guys understand it, please let me know down below because I have read this paragraph over and over again and I'm just not quite sure who she's talking about. And like I said, I'm thinking it's the mom that is the stay-at-home nanny. That would make more sense, right? Because they're living there and the woman that she's working for was helping. Anyway, we'll call my bio mom Wendy and the woman she works for Karen. Original, I know. My bio mom pretty much dumped me on this family the moment I was born and all of the issues I had. Rashes, thrush, infections, diaper changes, feeding, etc. became their responsibility. They were not blood related to me, but they became grandpa and grandma. Her husband, we'll call him John, was the sweetest, greatest man I ever knew. A better father figure than I would ever have in my whole life. Karen was always a little rough around the edges and liked to yell even when she wasn't mad. She spoke very loudly all the time and always sounded angry, like I said, even when she wasn't. There was only one time when I was 4 or 5 that I vaguely remember my bio mom taking me to see one of her boyfriends that lived on a farm in the literal middle of nowhere. I was supposed to share a bed with his 2 daughters, but I think I didn't like being in a strange place, so I kept getting up and finding my way out to where they were, the mom and the boyfriend. After several times, my bio mom just sort of gave up and let me stay. I ended up sleeping between him and her, and I remember feeling very uncomfortable. I don't think anything hinky happened with that guy, but just being a little kid and being spooned by a grown man I didn't know and wasn't my dad was just weird. I also almost got trampled by his horse. Yeah, that's weird. While there, she and this guy ended up going on a date and left me and his 2 daughters alone. One was like 2 or 3 years older than me, and the other one was like 14 or something, I think. I know she was way older. Anyway, the older one ended up taking us out into the woods where we met up with some boy and another girl, and we had to sit out there with no snacks or water while they shot beer cans. All I remember from that moment was that I didn't like the sound, my ears hurt, and I wanted to go home. Okay, this is insane. And this is where I stopped reading and I knew I had to share this. So from here on out, I have no idea what to expect. Another incident with my bio mom was when she took me swimming around 5 or 6 and I almost drowned because she wasn't paying attention to where I was and was more interested in hitting on some guy. Oh my gosh, you know what? I almost drowned like 3 times when I was a kid too. And one of the times was when I had just started learning how to walk and my mom's friend had a pool and they just like left me alone, I guess. And I went out into the pool. I almost died. What's crazy about that too, my mom like didn't know I was in the pool. She didn't know I was like missing because I really wasn't. I was just unsupervised. It's not like I was lost in a neighborhood. And whenever she came back from doing what she was doing, I was standing in the living room soaking wet with the back door open. I got myself out of the pool. Like my mom didn't even know what had happened until she saw that I was soaking wet. Thankfully, the lifeguard saw me and came and picked me out of the water. She was mad because we had to go home after that because I was crying and scared. While I was 6, John started fighting with cancer, and I didn't understand that, but I do now, obviously. During this time, he, Karen, and my bio mom decided that they were going to adopt me. I was adopted in the hospital where John was being cared for at the time. There was a judge, Karen's daughter was there, my bio mom was there, and I had to spell my new last name to the judge and tell him I wanted to live with grandma and grandpa. At the time I did because I loved them both. They were better than my mom and it wasn't scary to be home with them and I felt safe. That didn't last long though because only a few months later, right before I turned 7 I think, he passed away. I said goodnight to him the night before because he came home rather than wasting away in a hospital, and the next morning when I was running down the hall to tell him good morning, he was already gone. I've never really gotten over that because I feel like I never got a proper goodbye. At his funeral, I had a note that I was going to put in his jacket pocket, but his sister stopped me and told me I wasn't his blood. That started a fight between her and Karen. Oh, that's so cruel. What does that matter if you're not blood? Jeez. I mean, they adopted you. Wow. After that though, Karen was never really the same. She became meaner, and while it wasn't directed at me yet, she would do a lot of nasty things to my bio mom that still lived with us. Okay, so wait, your mom doesn't have custody, but she still lives with you? Several times I saw her choke my bio mom. Holy crap. Slap her, berate her, and just treat her like the scum of the earth. I wasn't the woman's biggest fan personally, but even I thought that was a bit much. My adopted brother would also beat on her. From what I remember, no one was nice to her at all. Then one day she moved out and never came back. I still saw her occasionally because she still ran errands for Karen, but she never stayed long. As I grew up, things became a little worse for me. Karen didn't treat me like her child anymore, but instead I became a live-in maid just like my bio mom. Oh my gosh, it's the Cinderella syndrome thing. I did dishes, which was okay. All kids should do dishes, but I did all the dishes all the time with no help at all. I mopped floors, I cleaned up after the animals, even my brother's 4 cats because he thought cat boxes were disgusting. I did the laundry, even my brother's laundry, because he didn't know how to use the machines. I got her coffee when she yelled for it. I got her snacks when she yelled for it. I got her plates of food when she wanted them. And as I got older, I had to do more and more. Eventually, I somehow got SSI. I don't remember how or why, but all the money went into a shared account with Karen's money. She would give me enough at lunch at school, and that was basically it. Anything else I had to beg for. When I graduated and turned 18, I still didn't get access to my own money. I had to beg for even just $20 of my own funds because everything still went into her account. I would run errands for her. Bio mom stopped doing it. She had to have 5 packs of cigarettes a day and 30 plus worth of lottery every day too. Jesus! And not just scratch offs, but the actual tickets for the lottery channel at nighttime. My life was spent in that house, the entirety of it. I started cooking more, cleaning more, running more errands, begging for more money. My friends weren't allowed over because she didn't like any of them. I was constantly told how I won't say that, how fat I was, how ugly, like my mother I was, and how I would never make it in the real world without her. She never taught me how to be in the real world without her to begin with, so she was probably right back then. I even helped bathe her before work. What? Powdered under her boobs, put her socks on, pants, bras, shoes. I tied this woman's shoes for her for fuck's sake. Sorry for the cursing. I'm getting heated writing this out. Okay, you don't have to apologize for cursing, but I think maybe the ghost downstairs didn't like it. Too bad, ghost. I slept on the couch because I knew she would just wake me up in the morning anyway, because she would want coffee and breakfast. You are literally Cinderella. You're her maid. And more than that, I mean, you're bathing her and putting her clothes and stuff on when I'm assuming she's perfectly capable. My life was like this up until my early 20s. It all came to a head when I was doing dishes and accidentally dropped a slippery plate and broke it. She got in my face and started screaming about how stupid I was and that I was just doing it because I didn't want to do dishes. She had never physically hurt me like my bio mom, only emotionally, mentally, and financially at this point. She was backing me into a physical corner, and because I didn't want her spitting and screaming in my face, I lifted my hands so she couldn't come forward on me anymore, and she dramatically fell backwards after brushing herself against my hand and knocked a chair over on top of herself. She started crying that I had abused her and pushed her and that she was calling the police and having me taken away. At this point, I had been diagnosed with IED, but I was medicated and rarely had outbursts anymore at this point. And when I did, it was less explosive anger and more explosive impulses and crying. Okay, I don't know what IED is. Let's look it up. The first stuff that I'm seeing is Homeland Security improvised explosive devices. I don't think that's what she's talking about. All right, Cleveland Clinic. Here we go. Intermittent explosive disorder involves frequent episodes of impulsive anger that's out of proportion to the event that triggered it. These outbursts can result in physical harm to the person with IED, other people, or animals. It's essential to seek medical treatment for IED as soon as possible. I'm curious, does it say what could possibly cause it? So researchers are still trying to discover the exact cause of IED, but they think genetic, biological, and environmental factors contribute. I mean, I would assume yours is probably environmental, right? Experiencing verbal and physical abuse in childhood and or witnessing abuse during childhood appears to play a role. I mean, yeah, again, we've learned something. I've learned so much starting this channel about just so many different conditions that I never knew existed. Okay, so now that I know what it stands for, I'm going to reread this part again because now I think it'll make a little bit more sense to me. Not that it didn't make sense, I assumed it was something along those lines, but anyway, I want to reread it. At this point, I had been diagnosed with IED, but I was medicated and rarely had outbursts anymore at this point. And even when I did, it was less explosive anger and more explosive impulses and crying. But the issue is that she came at you and just being dramatic fell over on herself. You didn't do anything to her. This was one of those moments. Something inside me just cracked, and all I remember thinking was, I think I'm done. I don't blame you. I grabbed my meds from the cabinet and the whole bottle. Oh, that's not what I meant. I thought you meant like I'm moving out. She came out just as I knocked them back and explode. She just looked at me like she could have beat me in that moment and just said, "You didn't just do that, did you?" I didn't answer, sat down at the table and lit one of her cigarettes right in front of her. I was ready and calm and willing to wait for whatever was going to happen. She must have called 911 because an ambulance came soon after and I was on my way to the local hospital. I got a shot when I arrived and less than 20 minutes later, I was puking my guts out and delirious out of my mind. I was given the choice to be committed voluntarily or involuntarily, so I went willingly. It was a nice 2.5-week vacation, if I'm honest. I talked to a therapist there and told him what happened and why I did what I did and how long I'd been going through it, and he looked at me and very bluntly told me that I needed to leave. I told him I didn't know how to leave or how to live on my own, and for the first time, someone told me that I could figure it out, that there are plenty of people my age that don't know what they are doing out there, and that he was in his late 40s and still barely had an idea of what he was doing. It gave me the confidence I needed. Oh man, do I relate to that? I went home after that stint and I remember standing in the doorway looking at Karen, who was expecting me to beg for forgiveness for some reason. And instead I just said that I couldn't do this anymore and that I was leaving. I don't think she believed me because she tried to call my bluff and went along with it up until the day I was literally carting things out of the door. She didn't help me at all. Not with getting my own bank account, not with figuring out where to go, not with anything at all. My friends at the time did. They taught taught me what I had to do. The lady at the bank helped me open a new account and told me that it was free. Karen always told me I had to pay to have my own account opened. When I was walking out of the door, she stood there and had this surprised Pikachu face and asked if I was really doing this. I said goodbye, and that was that. I did end up going back to that house after 3-ish years, but I never lived with her again. After another few years there, I moved out again, and now I live with a friend and her mom. I'm doing great now. I go to therapy regularly. I am still on my meds for IED. I am in college for psychology. I want to get my bachelor's degree so I can become a school counselor. Aww. I have a wonderful partner that is the best. She was my best friend in high school, so dreams really do come true. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry. I just recently got a job as a BHT and am working with kids on the spectrum. I spent a lot of my 20s just trying to figure myself out, and I had bumps and hurdles along the way and almost took myself out again, but I kept getting back up and trying. What a powerful sentence there. I do feel like in our 20s, this is going to sound mean, but we really don't have it figured out, right? Like, I look back on my 20s and I think, my God, I was just a baby. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I still needed a lot of help. And that could be because of the way I was raised, a reflection on my mom's parenting. She never taught me how to do anything. So when I got out into the real world, I had no idea what the I was doing. So that right there, all the bumps and hurdles and almost falling again, but getting back up. I mean, that can be said for so much in our lives. We get knocked down all the time and you just got to get back up. It's hard, but you can do it. Growing up, no one ever told me that your best is all you can do and all anyone should expect of you. I'm glad I have friends that support me, love me, and want me to succeed. There is still a part of me though that wishes Karen would see how far I've come and would be proud of me and would, I don't know, acknowledge my accomplishments. But anytime I let her back in was always more of the same things on repeat. I could be doing better, or that I could try to get a job in a higher paying field, that what I was doing wasn't enough, etc., etc. It's been almost a full year since I went no contact with her, and my life has only gotten better. I don't feel tense when my phone rings. I don't have nightmares all the time now. Sometimes I do, but that's just the CPTSD flare-ups or stress. I might not be perfect, but I am doing my best. And to me and my partner and all my friends, my best is good enough. Thank you for reading my story. I did skip over a bunch of things just because I didn't want it to be over 5 pages long. I could honestly probably write a book about my life and sell it as a nonfiction horror. Haha. You should write a book. I'd buy it. Do it! Keep doing what you're doing too, because it really helps people like me to realize that what we went through, we weren't going through alone. My situation might not have been nearly as bad as some others, but it still did damage to me. But I am still healing, and I'm doing great now. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm proud to be part of your coven. Well, I'm proud to have somebody as inspiring as you to be a part of it. I'm so glad to know that you're doing a lot better and that you have support at home. That is crucial. Thank you so much for sending in your story. It was truly inspiring. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you could take something away from this video. And of course, like I always say, don't forget to make your voices heard down below. I love reading your guys' comments, and I really do read every single one of them on our viewer submission videos because they are so important to me. So until next time, I hope you guys are having the most fabulous life. And not just until next time, always. I love you guys.